We were partnered with a robot last year. It was being built during opening ceremonies. It wasn't built during that 6-week time window.
They shipped the kit of parts.
They shipped the kit of parts.
To the region.
We actually had to help them put it together because we just so happened to be partnered with them on the first match. And if I recall, we told them basically just to go to a certain part of the playing field and sit there and watch. Because if they were a rookie team, they really didn't know the game, and we didn't want the robot to break down. So sometimes you're fortunate, you're with good teams. Sometimes you're unfortunate, and you're stuck with
What you get.
right with what you get.
There's all abilities out there. You obviously want to be paired with some of the more capable, established teams, but that again is what makes this thing fair to all.
Right. And we're not the only team from Central Massachusetts. Onitech, Team 562, they have a very good robot. And Nipro, Clinton High School, Team 126, they just so happened to win at the Boston University regional event that we're coming from. So we're not the only local team. There's 3 teams locally in our area, and we work very well with each other. We talk to each other during the season and exchange ideas. In Clinton High School, we were very fortunate. They actually loaned us 2 wheels this year. We were looking for a certain type of wheel, and they weren't available. We couldn't get them on time. They just so happened to have spares. So we thank Clinton High School, Nipro, very, very much.
Congratulate them for their great victory tonight. So, we also thank them for selecting us and a regional to partner with them in their alliance when we got into the quarterfinals.
Right, in Manchester, we were partnered with Clinton High School, and we did very well. We just so happened to get knocked out. We came up against 2 very good robots on the opposing side, and luck wasn't on our side. It wasn't St. Patrick's Day.
So, ran out. And going into that, we were not particularly ranked very high in the standings. In fact, we had just a kind of a mediocre day. It was just one of those days where we didn't have a lot going for us. But the camaraderie and the partnership of the local teams, kind of prevailed. Clinton chose us. We went out and we were a good scoring robot.
Now, what about our robot? What do we do this year, though? What does our robot look like?
This year, they changed the rules slightly. The physical limitations in years past have been pretty uniform. This year, they gave us a length, width dimension, and an overall weight that was gauged to the height. There were 3 different. Normally, there's just an absolute weight maximum of 120 pounds, provided your robot is 28 by 38
Right.
by
4 feet.
4 feet. If you could trim weight down, if you could trim 10 pounds down, they would give you an extra foot in height. And if you could trim 20 pounds off that 120, they'd give you 2 feet extra height.
And this is in the starting position.
This is the starting position.
You have to be inside that window.
Right, and that's part of the tech inspection as well, is going over the mechanical layout, the electrical, seeing that that's the code. They physically put you in a box, and you have to conform to those limits.
Right.
And they put you on a scale and they weigh you as well. Before you can even go into a match, you have to pass this. So it's best to do your homework up front. Do this, and we would, all through the build season, would be constantly re-weighing and remeasuring and making sure that we were within these design constraints. The robot this year was 2-wheel drive.
Yep.
We had 2 driving wheels of our own.
And we used to have 4. We used to be 4-wheel drive, but
right. This year, as you see in the video, the point of the game would be to score the plastic pool tubes, the little inner tubes up on the scoring rack to get these points, which we explained earlier. We actually had a combination robot that, for the bonus points, we would allow a platform and a ramp to deploy at the very end, allowing other robots to drive up on us to get the bonus points. We went for the gusto. We wanted to get those 30 points bonus, so we built the robot at a 12-inch height, so that again, there was the 4-inch height would get you 15 points, but the 12 would double it. So the robot's frame itself, when it was deployed, again, after starting within these constraints, but you had to stay within those constraints for the whole game. If you had a robot that could expand, like ours was capable of, the rules stipulate at the very end of the game, if you're in your home zone, and you'll see that on the playing field, it's marked by a stripe on the ground, right outside the operator and driver areas. There were penalties should your robot deploy outside of that area, and we talked about what penalties can do to a score. But if you played clean and your robot had that capability, and we did both, we could score the ringers on both the bottom row of scoring rings on the rack structure and also on the middle row. So, and again, that would give you 16 potential scoring locations, because each one of these, what they call spider legs, has 8 scoring positions, and we could potentially score on both the lower and middle series of 8.
So what do you think, Chris?
Does the season just run through the 6 weeks, or do you guys are like seasonal, or is it kind of a year-round program?
Well, we competed We competed in 2 regionals, Manchester, New Hampshire, which was 42 teams there, and it wasn't just from New England. There was 2 teams there from Canada, a few teams from New Jersey and New York. And we just competed down in Hartford, Connecticut last weekend, and you had teams from the East Coast down there. That was very, very competitive regional event. Many teams were built by United Technologies, we noticed down there. There was probably a dozen teams that were professionally built just from that one company.
Right.
So we're done our big regional events. We have coming up, we have what we call off-season events, so Rumbles. We'll do that. I believe we'll do 4 off-season events. And we also do demonstrations for the Cub Scouts, the Brownies, some church groups, and Leominster Library. So we have those coming up right now for the remainder of the year. And then we start up again next year.
Start first weekend in January.
First weekend in January, the first Saturday, we'll get our kit of parts. We'll venture up to Manchester, New Hampshire. There's about 2,000 teams involved in this around the world. So the kickoff is not just in Manchester, New Hampshire. There's satellites around the world, and it's all broadcast over NASA TV. So it can be viewed around the world by the 2,000 teams that are involved in this. And in a nutshell, you got 6 weeks from that point to come up with an idea, design it, build it, tweak it, and ship it. And the ship date is usually Tuesday of February vacation, so it's a great way to spend the winter. It flies by.
Right.
And like I said, it'll be our 8th year next year, and we're looking forward to a lot of kids.
6 weeks is the build time, and that's the same for every team. There's no exceptions. It's a hard and fast deadline. The robot's got to be in the crate, sitting on your loading dock, or wherever you're shipping it from when the truck arrives. And then it's about 2 weeks from the ship date until the